Welcome to Cosmic Compass, the place where we journey together across the vast frontiers of space. In every episode, we uncover the stories hidden among the stars, the planets, and the machines humanity has sent to explore them. Today, let's travel back to Mars, where Perseverance the rover, at the heart of NASA's most ambitious mission, ventured into one of the most dangerous places it would ever face, Séítah, a dune-filled region whose name means among the sands. What it discovered here was both unexpected and profound, and along the way, it faced a crisis so small it might surprise you, yet so critical it could have ended the mission entirely. So let's begin our journey and see how Perseverance braved the sands of Mars, overcame its challenges, and brought us one step closer to answering one of humanity's oldest questions: could there ever have been life beyond Earth? The Martian desert can be unforgiving. Vast, endless plains of rock and sand stretch across the horizon, hiding dangers that can bring even the most advanced machines to a halt. If you remember the Spirit rover in 2009, you'll know how easy it is for a mission to end in tragedy. Spirit became trapped in soft soil, and despite months of effort, it never escaped. That memory still lingers, a stark reminder of how fragile exploration can be. Now imagine Perseverance, the newest rover, standing at the edge of Séítah, a region whose very name means among the sands. This place promised answers about Mars's past, but also carried the risk of a similar fate. Like travelers in Earth's deserts, Perseverance would need to tread carefully. Every wheel turn had to be deliberate, every path calculated. A simple mistake could bury billions of dollars of effort under Martian dust. But if it succeeded, the rewards could reshape our understanding of life beyond Earth. So let's journey together, retracing the months between September 2021 and January 2022, when Perseverance braved the dunes of Séítah. Along the way, we'll uncover discoveries that scientists never expected and witness a near disaster that came down to just a few tiny pebbles. Perseverance's mission on Mars was clear, collect, and store rock samples that could one day return to Earth. These samples, sealed in small tubes, might contain evidence of ancient microbial life. It was the most ambitious Mars mission ever attempted. But Perseverance was not alone. By its side was Ingenuity, a small helicopter that had already made history as the first aircraft to fly on another planet. Together, this unlikely pair formed a team, one scouting from the skies, the other carefully moving across the ground. In September 2021, Perseverance had just completed its first successful sampling attempt. After months of challenges and one failed attempt, where the rock crumbled into dust, the rover had finally sealed fragments of Martian rock inside its tubes. This was a milestone worth celebrating. Yet, even as scientists cheered, the rover's journey was about to take it into far greater danger. The first successful samples came from a rock called Rochette. After the initial disappointment of a core disintegrating into powder, Perseverance finally drilled cleanly and sealed material inside its titanium tubes. These were the first Martian samples ever collected with the intention of being returned to Earth. Why did it take nearly a year to achieve this? Partly because Perseverance was tasked with more than just sampling. Ingenuity needed testing, proving it could scout ahead and survive Mars's harsh environment. Each of its flights pushed the boundaries of what was possible, and partly because Mars itself resisted cooperation, its rocks didn't always behave the way Earth rocks do. By early September 2021, Perseverance had 3 cores safely stored. This was a triumph, but also a reminder that each success demanded patience, planning, and resilience. At this point, you might ask yourself, why go through all this trouble? Why spend billions of dollars to scoop up just a few centimeters of Martian rock? The answer is simple. Within those tiny fragments might lie the most profound discovery of all, proof that life once existed on another planet. Just as momentum was building, the mission had to pause. Every 2 years, Mars and Earth find themselves on opposite sides of the Sun, a moment known as solar conjunction. During this time, the Sun blocks radio signals, making communication between planets impossible. For Perseverance, this meant silence. The rover continued basic functions on its own, but no new commands could be sent and no new data could be received. It was a period of enforced patience lasting several weeks. This is a moment where we're reminded of the vast scale of space. Imagine spending billions on a machine 300 million kilometres away, only to sit and wait while a star blocks your view. Exploration isn't just about daring, it's about endurance. And so Perseverance waited. When communications resumed in November 2021, NASA already had its next target, Séítah. From orbit, this area appeared to contain outcrops of rock layered like pages in a book. Each layer could represent a different chapter in Mars's geological history. Studying them up close could reveal when water flowed here and whether life had the chance to flourish. But Séítah was also a trap. Its dunes were treacherous, with loose sands that could swallow a rover whole. Spirit's fate loomed large in every decision. NASA couldn't risk another loss. That's where ingenuity became vital. Flying low over the terrain, Ingenuity photographed potential paths forward, helping scientists chart a safe course for Perseverance. For the first time, a spacecraft was not just reacting to Mars, it was scouting it like an explorer from above. With this guidance, Perseverance set off. Its journey was slow, cautious, deliberate. Wheel by wheel, it crept forward into the unknown. The careful progress paid off. Perseverance reached an outcrop called Brack, where it successfully collected more samples. These became its 5th and 6th sample tubes. But what scientists found inside came as a surprise. They had expected sedimentary rocks built from particles of sand and dust compressed over time. Instead, they discovered igneous rock, specifically olivine. This was striking. Olivine is formed when molten magma cools and hardens. On Earth, it is often linked to volcanic activity, and it can be found in places like Australia and Hawaii. So what did it mean that Olivine was lying in Jezero crater, the very place once believed to have been a lake? At first glance, volcanic rock might seem like bad news for life. After all, microbes don't thrive in molten lava. But Perseverance's cameras revealed something else, evidence of water erosion. The olivine here had been shaped and worn down by flowing water long after it formed. That combination, water plus nutrient-rich volcanic minerals, was actually very promising. On Earth, volcanic soils are some of the most fertile. Around volcanoes, life flourishes. So in Mars' distant past, this environment might have been a cradle for microbial life. Think about that for a moment. A rock sample just a few centimetres long sitting quietly inside a tube on Perseverance could hold secrets of Mars's volcanic history, its watery past, and perhaps even signs of ancient biology. It was a discovery that transformed expectations. Just as things seemed to be going well, Mars threw another challenge. On December 29, 2021, Perseverance attempted to collect a core sample from a rock outcrop called Isola. At first, everything seemed normal. The drill worked, the sample was placed into a tube, and the tube was prepared to be stored. But then something jammed. Perseverance stopped the process and reported the anomaly back to Earth. When NASA's engineers used the rover's cameras to look inside, they saw the problem. 4 tiny pebbles were lodged in the sample carousel. It may not sound dramatic, just a few small stones. But for a rover 300 million kilometres from Earth, this was a life or death problem. The carousel was essential for storing samples. If the tubes could not dock properly, the entire mission might fail. Billions of dollars, decades of planning, and the hope of finding life on Mars could all be undone by 4 pebbles. On Earth, You or I could solve the problem with a quick flick of the wrist of the AC, but Perseverance couldn't do that. It wasn't designed for this kind of repair, so the team had to get creative. First, Perseverance photographed the ground beneath it. This way, scientists could later compare the floor to make sure any expelled pebbles matched the ones seen inside. Next, the rover did something unusual. It deliberately emptied its sample tube, spilling the contents onto the Martian ground. A painful step, but necessary to free up the system. Then came the bold move. Engineers instructed Perseverance to rotate and wiggle its carousel, hoping the vibrations would dislodge the stones. 2 pebbles fell out, and cameras confirmed them on the ground, but 2 remained stubbornly stuck. The solution was risky. Perseverance was commanded to drive to a nearby slope and tilt forward, letting gravity help. A mistake here could tip the rover, ending the mission entirely. But carefully it rolled forward, and when engineers checked again, the pebbles were gone. Pebbles were what seemed like a minor nuisance had become a month-long drama stretching until late January 2022. But Perseverance had prevailed. It was a reminder that on Mars, even the smallest obstacles can feel monumental, and overcoming them requires patience, caution, and ingenuity. By January 2022, Perseverance had emerged from Séítah. It carried with it samples of volcanic rock, evidence of ancient water, and proof of its own resilience. The rover had faced treacherous dunes, unexpected discoveries, and even a standoff with a handful of pebbles, and it had survived. The lesson here is clear. Exploration is not just about bold leaps and great discoveries. It is also about navigating the tiny details, the fragile moments, the problems no one predicted. On another world, a grain of sand or a pebble can be as threatening as a mountain, and yet Perseverance continues. Each sample it carries holds a piece of Mars history, waiting for the day they return to Earth. Perhaps within those tubes lies the answer to one of humanity's oldest questions: are we alone? Perseverance's story in Séítah reminds us that space exploration is as much about patience as it is about courage. From volcanic rocks shaped by ancient water to tiny pebbles that nearly halted a multi-billion-dollar mission, we see how fragile and yet how resilient our quest for knowledge can be. As Perseverance continues its mission, each rock core and each sealed tube brings us closer to uncovering Mars's deepest secrets. Perhaps hidden within these fragments is the answer to whether life ever existed beyond our world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the sands of Mars. If you found this story inspiring, consider subscribing to Cosmic Compass so we can keep exploring the universe together. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies, and let's continue to follow the paths that lead us into the cosmos.